Hey guys, it's Bobby Legs, and welcome to another episode of Bobby Legs Loves Watches. Uh, and today, welcome to another watch chat, a Monday night watch chat. And today I have a special guest. I have a buddy here of mine from college who I've known close to 30 years, right? I mean, it's almost been 30 years, Jack,
No.
right?
Oh my gosh, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, no, it's gonna be 20, but no, you're right. It's just about
It's
30.
just about 30. So my buddy Jack here has been gracious to come on to the show tonight, and the reason why I wanted Jack to come in is because tonight we're going to be talking about collecting. We're going to touch on watch collecting. We're going to talk mostly about coin collecting because this is where Jack comes in, and I wanted to see where collectors in different whatever it is that you collect are how similar we are to each other and how different we could be from each other as well. So Jack, thanks again for coming, and
Sure.
if you want to say a little introduction about how maybe you got into coin collecting. Now, people who collect watches that I have exposure to, and for me personally, we either get into collecting because it had just happened organically.
Hmm.
Somebody may have given us a watch and it really sparked
Hmm.
something, or a grandparent or parent was into watch collecting and they kind of like passed that along to us. So how did you get into collecting?
Yeah, so I've been a collector, a coin collector, pretty much as long as I can remember. Like you said, a lot of times it's a grandparent or parent for coin collecting. Uh, Most people, I feel, it seems like most people I know started as a kid. For me, my grandfather, my mother's father, was a collector, so he got me into it when I was little, and we'd always get, me and my brother would get coins for Christmas and birthday and stuff. But one of my earliest memories kind of was going over to my grandparents' house, and we had those little, I don't know if you've ever seen those little coin books where it
Oh
has the
yeah,
holes where you put the
yeah,
pennies, right? So we had those little Whitman coin folders, and my grandfather had this like bucket of like the old wheat pennies. So like from 1958 and earlier, the old Lincoln pennies with the wheat ears, and we'd play bingo. Like he'd pull out the coin and be like 1947D, and be like, oh, I need it for my book, and so that's how I started. And funny enough, my grandfather got started because his grandfather was actually a collector
wow,
and got him into it when he was a kid. I actually have a business card my grandfather made when he was like 16 that said like junior numismatist, and like he was trying to buy coins from people. And then I didn't find out until after my grandfather passed, but we found an ad from like the 1880s that his grandfather, my great great grandfather, actually advertised coins for sale in the American Journal of Numismatics.
right,
Numismatics is the collecting of coins. I'm a
right.
numismatist by trade. For people who don't know that word, it's kind of a mouthful. But so that's how I got into it. Which I guess it's pretty common. Like other guys I know in the coin business, most of them have some kind of a story. It seems like where their father or grandfather had like a cigar box full of coins and they thought it was really cool and they started putting them in those little albums. Um, so I think it's, I hear people talk about having like that collecting bug, like that collecting gene, and
Yeah,
I really think that's true because pretty much everybody I know who's a coin collector, I feel like they all collect stuff. Like, I mean, I collect football cards. Uh, you know, I collect records. I've got a lot of records. I have a handful of guitars. I know you do as
yeah.
well. You know, so I feel like most of us collectors have kind of this. It's just something you either have it or you don't. Where like you just like stuff and you like comparing it and searching for it, and
Right.
a lot of it's in the hunt, like trying to find a specific thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves because
Okay.
that's what I
Yeah.
want to talk.
Yeah.
The hunt
Okay.
is definitely part of what I want to talk about.
Uh-huh.
So, so you're into collecting. You grow up. You have this great relationship with your grandfather. He kind of gets you into this stuff.
Right.
So I know, like right after college, um, you know, you were working a couple of 9 to 5s. We worked a couple of jobs
Right.
together. How did what was the point where you decided, well, I just, I have this hobby. I love this hobby. How
Mhm.
can I make this jump into a career? Like, when was that moment?
Right. So, yeah, I was about, was it 10 years out of college or so? Not quite, maybe 8 years out of college. And I was just bored. I was, you know, working, 401k plans as, as were you. We were
Right,
working
right.
in the same office, same company. And I just was like, just bored. I was like, I got to figure out how to do something that I enjoy for a living. So, I kind of went back to my childhood hobby that, never totally went away, but, you go through college and you have other interests, and I was playing in bands and doing other stuff, but always kind of had that as something I always maintained an interest in, and started getting back into it. Part of the impetus I think that got me back into it a little bit was the advent of eBay, because
Mhm.
now that I had a job, I'd buy little cheap things on eBay that most of them I probably, if I could go in my time machine, instead of buying
Belt
a
buckles.
bunch. Yeah, well, yeah, no, but instead of buying a bunch of like $10 and $20 coins on eBay, I probably would have saved that money and bought a couple of things that were a few $100s, that were more
Mhm.
rare and more higher, better condition and better quality. But it's all part of you know learning and enjoying it. I mean, the most important thing, is if you're going to be in a hobby and stay in a hobby, it's about having fun and enjoying it. So,
So then
you know,
maybe let's hold off on talking about
again,
the career now, because you brought up how you started on eBay, and what you chose to buy at that time, and how if you could go back, it would things would change. So now, as a watch collector, there are certain brands that I prefer. There are certain types of watches, genre watches that I prefer. Some people will only collect one certain brand. Some people will only collect Seiko or Rolex. Some people will only collect dive watches. Some people like vintage. Some people don't. Was there a specific type of coin genre did you like? I mean, did you prefer Morgan silver dollars, or colonial copper coins, or what was it that really is the basis of your collecting?
it's a good question. I'm kind of all over the place, but yeah, it sounds like in that aspect, coins are a lot like watches, in that there's as many ways to collect as there are collectors, and some people are super hyper focused, and some people are all over the place. At the time, I was kind of into copper coins because you could buy certain copper coins a lot cheaper than the entry level on coins, if you're buying copper coins, is lower than if you're buying gold coins.
Right.
you know
Sure.
so at the time it was copper coins. As I got more into copper coins, you mentioned colonial coins. It's a very esoteric, specialized area. These are coins that were made, that circulated, prior to us even having a mint. Some of them prior to us even declaring our independence. Coins that circulated in the U.S. in the 18th century.
Mhm.
Um, and they're it's a different kind of collector because, also, there's very few of these things that are in the kind of high grade that we're accustomed to. Like, a modern coin, for example, they grade coins now using a 70-point scale. So 70 is a perfect, absolutely flawless coin. I was happy with coins that were grading, a fine 15 or something, which is, if you talk to somebody who collects, uh, silver eagles, which are new, 1 ounce silver coins. Those coins, people collect them in either like 69 or 70 grade. That's
Right.
you don't really buy them lower than that. They don't even exist in the grades that I was, that are so worn.
Well, was that a product of what you had available funds wise? Because I may detect a similarity with some people who enter watch collecting, and certainly with me. One of the first couple, the first watch I bought was really, really out there and expensive. But after that, when I got back into watch collecting,
Is
I
that a
started.
Panerai? I
No,
remember
no,
you were.
the Panerai, no, but the Girard Perregaux, the one because I was working with a bunch of guys, and you know who I'm talking about,
Yeah, sure.
who had those certain watches, and I was influenced by that. But when I got back into the hobby, I kind of like got into like some of these watches that were more affordable because I couldn't think of how could I ever spend like $2 or $3 or $4,000 on a watch. I
Right.
mean, $500. Wow, that's a lot of money. But then
Mhm.
once you start collecting $500 watches, you realize, wait a second, you could make that jump. Now, was that the same way when you started collecting? Was it because you didn't have the funds, or you just couldn't imagine you spending $1,000 on a particular coin?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's kind of both. It's like, as I started, um, I remember when I was a kid, I wanted a Carson City Morgan dollar, and I remember like mowing lawns and riding my bike and thinking like, oh my God, I can't believe I just spent $17 on a coin. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
Now it's like,
right.
I mean, we sell six-figure coins. $17. I'm like, I don't even think about it. Um, but it absolutely, like I said, when I started getting back into it post college was when kind of eBay started. eBay's the Wild West. You get a lot of crap on eBay,
Right.
Um, but like I said, I wasn't spending a lot of money, and my disposable income was, if I spent 10 or 20 or $30 on a coin every couple weeks, it wasn't going to kill me. But then, like you said, I start kind of then liking these. I get into these copper coin, large cents and things that are copper that you can buy stuff, or 2 cent pieces. You can buy coins that are 10, 20, $30. And then I start like seeing these other, like some of these colonial coins, like Fujio cent, which is a coin that I
Yeah, yeah.
love. Is designed by Ben Franklin. It's called Fujio, which is Latin for "it flies." It has actually it relates to your show here because it actually has a sundial on it.
Yeah.
And it actually has a message to the King of England. It says "Mind your business." So it's a coin I love. But I remember buying one of those for $100 at like that time period, and that was like, again, it's like the next level. Like, whoa, I can't believe I was spending $100 on a coin. Um, and then I remember going to a coin store. I bought that coin at a coin show. And then I remember going to a coin store with another friend of ours, Kevin
Hmm.
Bryce.
Hmm.
I don't know if I mentioned names here or not, but
That's all right.
but anyway, I go to this coin store, and he was friendly with this dealer. It was a guy who, where he lived, and I showed the guy the coin, and the guy offered me like $50, $25 profit or something, and I was like, oh, I didn't sell it, but I was like, it made me feel really confident in my ability to pick good coins, and so it made me feel a little better about, oh, maybe spending $100, is all right.
Right. Right.
So it kind of, it started with kind of how much I could afford, and as I could afford a little more, I got comfortable spending more, and I see that with my own clients. You see guys will come in and they'll kind of test you, and they'll buy something small first and get comfortable, with the transaction and with what they're buying. And some of these guys will go from, a couple $100 to, you know, thousands of dollars. Yeah.